All right, all right, all right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What is that? Harley Davidson motorcycles. That's what we be talking about today. Damn, that's hot. Let's go check it out. All right. The one that's uncovered is my 2019 Harley Davidson Breakout. The one right there. That one's covered up. That's a 883 iron. That's my ladies. Also a pretty rad bike. If you want a bike that's just straight off the shop or the floor of the dealership, it's about what, 15 grand in Canada? Thing's pretty badass. We threw some slip-on mufflers on there. Only picked them up for 40 bucks. These bastards. And thing sounds mean. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about that beauty. All right. So from first glance, you might think a lot of these bells and whistles just kind of came from the factory just because it is an expensive bike. They retail for about 26 grand up here in Canada, which is a lot of damn money for a motorcycle, you know. But this was my college present when I graduated, and I'm just kind of sick of buying used bikes. I've had a bunch of them, so we're going brand new. This is also my first cruiser. I was always a sport bike guy, so this is a change up for sure. So let's go over it. I got about 4,300 bucks worth of upgrades on here. Some of them very small, some of them straight from the factory. So first and foremost, the biggest one that I did obviously is the motor. So from the factory, because I came from sport bikes, those bikes are all fast as hell. Every single sport bike you get on, they're pretty much mind-blowing. This thing didn't blow me out of the water. So as soon as I got it on the shop floor, I said, we got to put a stage 2 in here, which includes the filter, or your air intake and the filter, your exhaust pipes all the way out. So that's just a straight through Bassani pipe. I kept the 2 into 2, which just means the 2 pipes still stay 2 pipes. Some of them blend together into 1 pipe and then continue out. And then the other thing that you can't see is inside, and that's the computer, which regulates the fuel in the air. So that's what's called stage 1. Stage 2 is just a camshaft, and that's basically this weird little, almost like a tube, almost like this, but it has weird little bumps on it. And that just controls how much fuel and air can get into the cylinder itself. So obviously more fuel, more air, more power. So that alone was like 2,500 bucks for everything here. But I wanted more power, and everything's under warranty as long as you do it through Harley. So we're good. As far as everything else that I've done on here, my other 2 grand went into a lot of little bells and whistles. So one thing I was trying to do since my intake, this is part of something called the brass collection. So I don't know how well you can see it really, but it's a nice brass piece. But one thing with this is because it's real brass, it'll change in the color depending on the exposure of light or how many times you've touched it with your greasy hands and things like that. So the next year, because I bought this in 2019, so 2020 I think it was, something called the Dominion collection came out with the bronze, and so that's what this looks like. Oh well, you can see that. So these are pretty sick grips. So I'm matching everything to that color. So I got the 2 grips like that. We also have that, that pedal with the matching pedal on that side. So those are my foot pegs. I still gotta do my actual where my feet sit and my passenger pegs as well. Other than that, got these cool little mirrors that swing underneath. Usually they're up here and branching out. Don't like that, so I had to get used to these mirrors. Actually, in the first week I had them on there, I didn't even actually get one on there, so I had no mirror for about a week, which I got used to. But another cool upgrade I did, obviously, Willie G skull. That's a must. You gotta have something repping the Willie G skull. see here. I do have a little clutch case cover that's black. I gotta black that out still. I'm not sure what I'm leaving chrome, but I do want to have a little bit of chrome in here. I installed the Harley alarm. I just bought it. It's like $120 or something, and I put it in myself. It was kind of a pain in the ass, and they said you have to take the rear wheel off and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, no, I just strapped it in there. I'm like, that's okay. Another thing I wanted to do for a while actually is black out all the bolts and all the hardware on here, because there's a lot of little, once you start blacking everything out, you start noticing that there's all these little chrome dots everywhere, and it's like driving me nuts. So slowly, as I've done certain things like install the alarm, I've had to take the rear fender off. And so some of these bolts were black, or sorry, they were silver down here. And so you can't even really see them now because I've taken them out. A little bit of sandpaper. And what I like to do is either get some cardboard or something and just poke them into the cardboard so that the top of the bolt is up. After you've sanded them, of course, and wiped them so that they're clean. Just spray them. Boom. Put them back in when they're dry. Like, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to touch them too often. They're not really going to get worn down by rocks or anything because they're pretty much kind of countersunk into the bike. So, but these changes make a huge difference. So I would suggest if you ever have to take a bolt out, if you want to black it out, that's your time. As well as, obviously, reflector. Safety feature, but realistically, if somebody's going to T-bone me, my reflector isn't going to do anything. So come on, let's get real. Another thing that I did also is I changed these badass lights on here. So these just sit right on the end here. What happened was there was a lot of people go for the LED strip. When I first bought the bike, there was this huge license plate thing hanging down here. Super hideous, obviously. Let's admit that. But I'm not really sure why every company does this. They just hang this huge tail off the back, and it just looks really stupid. So they're called tail tidies, and everyone, for the most part, if you want to customize your bike, that's one of the easiest, quickest things to do. This one wasn't that cheap. These lights, installing them, apparently they were supposed to be holes that were pre-drilled in my I don't know if you call it, I don't know, whatever the frame arm or whatever, the fender arm. Didn't have them. So here I am at night trying to wire stuff up, and I am not electrically inclined at all. I don't know what the heck I'm doing usually. So still actually have a problem with my brake lights are amber. So go figure. But they look pretty sick. And I had to drill some holes, and I was, I feel like it's a bit sketchy. You buy a brand new bike with your retirement savings. Well, I didn't do that, but it's a lot of money. And then there I am just drilling holes in this thing. I'm like, what am I doing? But luckily I had a buddy that was video chatting with me, and yeah, we got through it. I'm just going to turn the lights on here. This thing usually starts with a fob. But I can also add a pin code. And so all I have to do is just kind of go through this. It's actually a really cool thing about this bike. Yeah, and as far as the motor goes, so here's my lights. Jesus, like it's my first day. There's the back end of it. It's important to get a license plate light on here. I know a lot of people just cheap out and buy like an $80 frame that you just bolt on. Go for the light. It's just less chance of you getting pulled over and people being douchebags to you. And sometimes you don't want to ride. Like, I don't like riding at night. But when I do, it's just something that it's good to have, right? Like, I don't know. What am I doing here? I'm always scared my alarm's going to go off. This thing's so loud. Okay. And then as far as the motor goes, it's a 1868cc. Oh, geez. 1868cc motor. It's the brand new M8 motor that came out, I think, in 2017. So I guess it's not brand new anymore, but with the new frame, and Harley redid a bunch of their stuff because I wasn't really a huge fan of Harley Davidson kind of prior to this. But I did a lot of my research. I love going online every single day, looking at videos, looking at people's opinions, and just reading. That's one of the best things you can do for yourself. So don't just take my word for whatever I say, or some other jackass on the internet. Read, do your own research. You're kind of, it's your own fault if you buy something and you don't like it or something goes wrong. It's kind of it's all you at the end of the day. Yeah, what else? My grips, my pegs. I did get some LED lights for in here, but my buddy just ordered them for his bike and then gave them to me because he wanted to switch. Besides that, yeah, I guess that's about it. I'd love to fire this thing up for you, but it's just so damn loud. You know what? Screw it. Let's do it. Here, give me a second. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what we're waiting for. Scare all the grannies in the neighborhood. All right, I'll start you up on there. You're riding, okay? Get your helmet on.